postman is grooving to all our love letters. Some postman is gonna cry.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to the blockbuster new release while our memory. We grab a copy off the shelf, we pop in our VCR, and we see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that's Mike.
Hey, neither rain nor sleet. Nah, never mind. Who cares?
And together we're here to help you navigate all the landmines littered down memory lane. So, Mike, I was thinking about, the podcast for a little bit. We were kind of on a Flash Gordon hangover for a couple of weeks. We just really enjoyed that one and realized, in the space of those 2 weeks that we were, pretty optimistic about movies. We had lost some of our cynicism and we were joyous again. We actually enjoyed the cinema experience for a while. I felt a little bit guilty about it. So we're going to take care of that in spades this week. Me and Mike are going to start what we're going to call our personal little trail of tears. We're going to go through a couple of movies here that we personally have demons with, and I want to acknowledge my co-host here for his courage because he volunteered to go first with the Carnage.
Yeah, this is a movie that if you're a long-time listener to us, you've probably heard it referenced once or twice, maybe. But this is one of those that I haven't seen it since it came out, and obviously for good reason.
Well, that's the thing. So that's what's so cool about this podcast, I think, Mike, is that we get a chance to revisit these things. And even if we haven't seen them in 25 years, there's an interesting phenomenon that kind of builds up in your head where your perception changes significantly over time. And it's probably disproportionately, you probably hate it more than you think. So, doing a podcast like this and going back and checking it out and so sometimes surprising yourself or whatever,
Exactly. And more, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, we look back with a little bit of rose-colored glasses. I think Waterworld was not as bad as what we initially thought, and Battlefield Earth maybe not quite as bad. Face Off maybe not so cheesy as we thought. This one, it was bad as I remember.
Yeah, sometimes they're affirming and affirming in the negatives.
Correct.
So we're going to talk about Mike's personal bane of existence. We're going to talk about The Postman from 1997.
Right, Postman.
That's right. All right, so let's just kind of get into it, Mike, because the sooner we start, the sooner we can be done with it, right? So, here comes the pain, guys. All right, so this is directed by Kevin Costner, Mike.
Shocking! Wow,
America's Sweetheart. For his directorial films, he's done the movie Open Range. He did Dances with Wolves, with too much accolades, of course. He's got a couple movies coming out. They look like Yellowstone ripoffs. It's called Horizon. I think both movies are going to be coming out like within a few months of each other this summer. So you have that. It was written by a guy named David Brin, who wrote his only writing credit is the Echo the Dolphin video game for the Sega Genesis.
Wow.
Yeah, he got the head writer thing here.
Now, was this I purposely avoided any background information in this movie because I want to forget it after this is over.
Fair enough.
But was this a popular book before the movie came out, or was this kind of a simultaneous screenplay book thing?
Yeah, it was a well-received book. Had a lot more detail in it. I haven't read it. I'm kind of curious to read the book because I think I would actually like it. A couple other screenwriters who were involved here were Eric Routh, who did Dune, both Dunes, the new ones, with Denis Villeneuve, Inside Man, The Insider, rather, Munich. I mean, he's done some big, heavy-duty movies. He's also co-written by a guy named Brian Helgeland, who did the movie 976 Evil, which is one of my first favorites. He also did LA Confidential.
Oh, good.
And he stands as the only screenwriter to be nominated for the best screenplay and a Razzie in the same year. I'll let you put those two together, Mike, to see which one's qualified for each. But they did the damage here, of course. It was released on December 25th, Christmas Day, 1997.
Holy crap.
capping off a apocalyptic year for movies. We'll get to that here in a little bit. And it had a budget, Mike, $80 million.
I was thinking that would be about
If that doesn't trigger you, I don't know what would.
The more I find out about it, the more I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
So
80 million.
yeah. So I mean, why don't we? A lot of that probably went to to the cast here. So Mike, why don't you kind of one member of the cast at least. So Mike, why don't you walk us through this murderer's row of actors for this movie?
Yeah, it begins and ends with the Omega Man himself, Kevin Costner. He's one of those guys. It's kind of like, I think of him. This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but I think of him like Rod Stewart or even maybe Phil Collins. Just like, you have this start where you're just gonzo, you're just dynamic, energetic, your music is energetic, your movies are energetic. Look, the first few Kevin Costner movies I can remember are like Silverado or Tin Cup,
Yeah.
Bull Durham, The Untouchables, Field of Dreams, even one of my favorites, Revenge. And you get this actor that is nuanced and has like emotion to him and, actually like, I don't know, seems to be having fun with his role. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, Dances with Wolves in 1990 happens. And everything after that is kind of, not everything, there's a few exceptions, but his mainstream big budget movies all were him as like a stoic Jesus kind of Gary Stu character, that even when he does something wrong, it's wow, it's like, even his mistakes are almost praised in these movies. And you think of movies like JFK or The Bodyguard or Wyatt Earp, Waterworld.
That windfall for Dances with Wolves might have been the worst thing that ever happened to him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was kind of saying. I mean, there's a definable line, and
yeah.
It's amazing to me how similar he is in all of these roles. And it's annoying to me that, especially in this one, in Waterworld and like Wyatt Earp, for instance, where he's just this
same character,
messianic figure that, everybody seems to, heap praise on him. And like I said, even when he stumbles, it's like, oh no, you're still great, And it's just this kind of acting. I don't know why. Like I say, he has his CV is loaded with great movies of the past, but like I said, he lost some edge there for me, and just that's a me thing. But when spoilers, but when the guy has to sing the closing credit song, I mean, that was the coup de grace for me.
That's a chef's kiss of pretentiousness.
That was just like, I knew he had reached peak Costner, when I heard that duet with Amy Grant.
Try to pace yourself. This is a long one, Mike.
I know.
Speaking of long, how long was this movie?
2 hours and 57 minutes,
wow.
But it felt like 6, 7, 8. It was almost like stepping into a wormhole, and you realize, our nexus and time didn't matter. It was like a minute was stretched into 2 or 3 minutes. And
well, in its defense, I mean, the only reason it really seemed long is because it was poorly paced, horribly edited. Had a lot of redundant scenes. And
then let's go off on a tangent. I got some more casts, but let me go off. This may be a subject for another podcast, but this is one of those movies where I'm watching, and there's other examples. I need to I need to back up my case with some examples for maybe another time. But it's one of those, do I blame the editor or do I blame the director? And when I say the director, there's some directors that watch the dailies and know everything that's going on in the movie and can pace it and edit it as they go. Yeah. But is this one of those where like an editor comes in and swoops in and chops it up and like it becomes almost impossible to follow? Or again, is it a directing kind of thing? So it
my instinct tells me that Costner had his head in the editing room a lot here and really had his vision kind of portrayed. That's why like guys like Scorsese works with Thomas Schumacher religiously, because they've developed a relationship and know how to work together. And he knows that editor is there to check him, to keep him in balance, to check and balance system to drive this. So I would bet during this time in Hollywood's history that Kevin Costner had a blank check to do whatever he wanted to do. Yeah. And I'm sure that editor went home at night wringing his hands and pulling his hair out. But, the biggest movie star in the world, $80 million, his name was on the banner. So
that's why he gets final cut.
You can't afford to look ridiculous. Mike.
Ridiculous.
And
a man in my position can't afford to be made to look ridiculous.
Yeah, and yeah, he's not the only one in this movie.
Oh, there's more. Okay,
Of course,
I
there's
didn't realize. Yeah.
yeah. There's the female lead played by Olivia Williams, who for me was this kind of flash in the pan of the late '90s. She was in really good movies like Rushmore and Sixth
Nice.
Sense.
Great in Rushmore. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's in this movie, and then after this, it was a lot of like grade B movies, and
Yeah.
I think she was in an REM video. I can't remember which one. I have to look that one up.
That's a deep cut. Nice job.
Yeah. But yeah, and then Will Patton, who's our villain, and
slightly catatonic.
yeah, he's playing sort of the same character he was in Armageddon.
Yeah.
And in No Way Out, if you've seen that one, that was hey, another good Costner movie.
Yeah.
Kind of degraded him to a B movie kind of villain, and he has a pretty thick resume of movies, but like I say,
he works a lot. Yeah.
He does. You have Lorenz Tate, who plays the young, postman, who I knew him from Menace to Society. I was about only that guy,
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You have 3 mayors portrayed in this movie, and they're all played by these kind of guys. You're like, hey, that guy, one of them is Kruger from Seinfeld, who had to fire George, I think, because George was having relations with the maid in the office.
The pear-shaped loser.
Yes. And you had Colonel Sanders from Spaceballs. He was the mayor of
very good.
I don't know what city that was, Benetton. But anyway, he meets his end, sadly enough. And then you had Tom Petty playing himself, which this was probably, I'm gonna say this and sound like I contradict myself after I say it, but it was a great casting move. I mean, they actually have a guy in the apocalypse that's like a known personality, and they actually acknowledge, "Hey, I know you. You're." They never say who he was, which it was clever. I'll give him that.
I like that he was in there, but for me, that was the last straw.
Yeah, it was a doofus role. It's one of those roles that you would usually see Tom Waits play with like like wearing a feces covered jacket or something.
Or I guess Jimmy Buffett wasn't available. Like,
yeah, he was flying his plane or something. Yeah, so that was at least interesting. Then you had some other characters like Giovanni Ribisi shows up early to get his comeuppance, and he has a really really bad set of false teeth.
Yeah.
Then you had the bad guy who was the bad guy in Cliffhanger. He was like John Lithgow's FBI guy or Fed guy.
Glad you found him. Rex Lynn is the guy's name.
Yeah, Rex Lynn. And then you had, which was very disappointing, you had the cop from the Rockford Files, Dennis, if anybody's Rockford Files fans like I was in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
But he was a bad guy in this one. He didn't say anything. He had nary a word he said in the movie.
Well, when your tongue gets cut out, that tends to happen. So.
Well, yeah, I couldn't remember if his tongue got cut or another part of the.
Yeah, General Bethlehem punished him for trying to take over the. I can't believe I said that out loud. Yeah, that was his punishment for trying to take over the clan. He cut out his tongue.
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah.
So that there's some other characters in there. Don't worry about them. They're not of any.
No one cares.
I did notice 2 or 3 Costners in the credits there.
Yeah,
which, that was interesting. Yeah. They're all. I guess they were like his kids or
his
nieces or nephews.
His son was the little boy that handed the letter to the.
Oh no! Of course it was.
And his daughter was one of the girls in the dance there. Yeah.
Oh.
Peggy Lipton was in this too. I always say because Peggy Lipton's no longer with us, but gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, Mike. Well, that took a lot of courage. Thank you for that. So Tom Hanks was originally involved in the project, and he was going to play the role, but then Kevin Costner got wind of it. And he really wanted to do it, and when he got into the project, he came in and fired all the writers and took the entire development crew. He got rid of all those guys. So they all decided just to go on and go make Forrest Gump instead, which kind of worked out for their benefit. Forrest Gump had like 13 Oscar nominations with 6 Oscars and was the 4th highest box office movie ever. And The Postman was neither of those things. There was some self-awareness on the set. Everybody on the cast and crew started to figure out that this thing wasn't really going to be, the next Dances with Wolves. And there was this growing sense of concern that it was, headed down the wrong path. So they referred to it as Dirt World as opposed to Water World. That was the inside joke that they talked about behind Kevin Costner's back, which I think was really funny. In terms of directors, Sam Raimi was also considered to direct this here, but he chose not to.
Hmm.
And you mentioned, Kevin Costner sings the song at the end. He had a band for a while. I forget the name of it, but
Yeah.
the band, his band is actually featured in the movie. That's the band that
That's the
played
band I
music in the
figured.
town. Yeah.
Why wouldn't they use Tom Petty to do the duet at the end?
Well, they wouldn't let Tom Petty even say that Tom Petty, his name was Tom Petty. So he never really confesses to being Tom Petty, which
That's pretty
that
good.
might be the only clever part of this movie. If you
Hey,
ask me.
like I said, I thought that was pretty good. They
Yeah.
actually kind of fourth walled it and inside baseball the whole Tom Petty thing. Like, oh yeah, I know you. And it's like,
Yeah. So I mentioned that 1997 was this gigantic year for movies. This year you had Good Will Hunting, Amistad, Titanic, Tomorrow Never Dies, American Werewolf in Paris, Jackie Brown, Wag the Dog. I mean, you had all these major things in there. The biggest box office draws for that year, of course, were Titanic, Men in Black, and The Lost World: Jurassic Park. The Star Wars Special Edition also came out this year. So, this year, I think The English Patient won Best Picture this year. But I mean, that's quite a catalog for
wow.
a single year. I mean, I don't think we're going to get that kind of profile in the 2020s. We're still waiting for that kind of volume. On the music scene, Mike, I feel it's obligatory that we talk about music a
97.
little bit.
I had just tuned out of music at this point.
Yeah, well, you were ahead of the curve on that one. You did yourself a service. Yeah, "Candle in the Wind" was the number one song when this movie came out that weekend. "How Do I Live Without You" from another wonderful movie
oh
we
no,
covered.
Con Air,
Con
no.
Air. We did Con Air, guys. Go back and check that out. I think it's our season 3 premiere. Great,
Another
great
if
episode.
it. Oh my God, the fact I had no idea that you were going to bring that movie up, but I actually thought about that movie when I heard the closing credits song of this movie, and
Yeah.
it's another song they played during it, and it's a Love and Spoonful song called "You Didn't Have to Be So Nice,"
Uh-huh.
and to use that as like their kind of theme song of the movie did not make any sense at all. Just
Completely unrelated. Not
it's just like Con Air not using Sweet Home Alabama and
yeah.
instead of using How Can I Live Without You. It's just like I don't
Yeah.
understand the 90s. I don't understand 1997. What were they doing?
Maybe it was the only song Costner could sing in key. Who knows?
And,
Uh, Another song on the charts here was "You Were Meant for Me" by Jewel.
oh yeah.
The irony there is that I think Jewel and Kevin Costner are now dating all these years later.
Oh my gosh.
He had "Tub Thumping" by Chumbawamba. Mike.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah. Are they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame yet, Mike?
They will be next year. Don't worry.
Okay.
They had a hit.
All right. Good deal. Some other things going on in 1997. It seems like a long time ago. It's like, but it was. Gas was $1.22 a gallon. The tickets for the Postman would cost you $4.59 for an evening show. Amazing. Some fashion trends. We were wearing a lot of denim on denim in 97. Leather pants had made a wonderful comeback, Mike, as well as the full length leather duster.
Ah.
Which fantastic. This came out around at Christmas, so some of the hot Christmas items around this time of the year were the Nintendo 64, the Tamagotchi pets gave
Wow.
anxiety to a whole
Sure.
generation of kids.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
I think if most of them died after what, a week.
Yeah, that's teach your kids about Lost. It's a good idea. And the Netflix.com started. It was only one of 100,000 websites active at that time, Mike. So Netflix and chill was not a thing. You used to have to log in and have a CD mailed to you a couple at a time.
Yeah.
Wonderful, right? But the biggest story, at least for us here locally in the Charlotte area, this was the year that $17 million was stolen from Lewis Fargo by a couple of bumbling rednecks.
Yeah.
These weren't exactly arch criminals, Mike, as you recall. This happened just up the road from us, guys. If anybody's curious, they sold $17 million out of a Brinks truck, but they didn't really follow through with the plan, or if they even had one. They didn't realize that much cash was big, and they had quite a bit of time offloading it, as the videotaped evidence would later show. The entire robbery was caught on videotape, which I think is even funnier. One of the main ringleaders here lived in a double wide up until the event, and then 3 weeks later, he bought a multi-million-dollar mansion all in cash. So there you go. But
and the one guy who actually played by the rules that they set before they robbed was living on M&Ms and hiding up at a hotel in like Cozumel.
yeah, this is the guy that the other guy hired a hitman to kill. and they ended up actually the hitman became pretty good friends with the guy who was hard to kill. So
Yeah.
let's just say big fail.
It wasn't exactly the Lufthansa heist. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. Well, so speaking of big fail, let's kind of go through just the
Oh yeah, there's a movie, right?
and we talked about my movie, right? So, I think we should probably just get started. Mike, anything else you want to say here before we get going?
Just ride, Postman, ride.
All right. So, Mike, hit the button. So we see Kevin Costner kind of rambling through the wastelands with his mule, and
Bill the mule.
and he's dressed like every other roamer in a post-apocalyptic world is dressed.
Can I start with the I'm going to start early here.
That's all right.
The voiceover. I do not like voiceovers that kind of give away like
Yeah.
the character. Immediately this character is going to have a kid just by the voiceover. The girl that comes on, you're like, my father. It's like, oh, there you go. Thanks.
There is so much telegraphing in this movie.
I mean, geez,
yeah.
why'd you say? I mean, I think it was the Road Warrior we watched. Had a voiceover, but you didn't know exactly.
Yeah, because the character had no voice at that
right.
point.
It was just like this. Oh my
feral
gosh,
child. Yeah.
who are they talking? I mean, who's doing this? Oh, well, who cares? This is going to be good. What's going on? This one is like, wait a minute. Our main character is going to find a woman eventually. I wonder who's going to be. Anyway,
is it that picture? That woman whose pictures is on the poster?
That was my first annoyance.
All right. So Costner, he's unnamed. He just goes by the Postman here. I think in the book they actually go his name and all that stuff. But so his gig is he performs Shakespeare with the donkey in villages, for scraps and for change.
Yeah.
And so that's our hero. So he's in one village performing, this sword fight with the mule, and he's captured this raiding horde of these like totalitarian guys that have come over and wear 8-ball jackets. Mike, I think they're called Holnists. They're these marauders that like I said, they worship the number 8. And there's a reason for that. I can't remember. I don't care. But they're all wearing 8-ball jackets, which I forgot how stylish those were.
and yeah, it's like it's a good start to the movie, honestly. The voiceover aside, you get the first few minutes. Of course, you have to have something to do with testing water, just like in Waterworld.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing him pee, you get to see him. His horse drink out of water, and he has to test it. And but it's a good setup. He's isolated. And he goes to this village, and he acts out several different Shakespeare plays. It's a good. And then he gets knocked out, and it's like the opposite of Wizard of Oz. It's like, right. Okay, well, this movie's going to take a weird turn now. And
there is an alternate reality, not so alternate, that I like this movie so far. I remember so far I was like, okay, this is I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah, they even like go through the trouble of showing that the apocalypse had happened, and they show a couple of abandoned cars. They show gas stations.
I like that it's vague, and they don't.
That's the last thing you see, though. That's the last thing you see of. I know they saved millions on not having to do sets showing abandoned cities and whatnot, and filming out in Oregon and Idaho. But there was something there where they're showing the abandoned civilization from it was like 16 years earlier is what they're trying to say.
Right. Yeah.
And there's it's a great start, and you imagine
that 16 years comes back to bite them in a little bit. I'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah.
So these marauding horde, they come in. What their gig is, they come in. They conscript local men into their camp, and they see Costner running away, and they grab him, and he gets put into this prison. And then he's trained to be one of the 8-ball jacket guys. And there's a good chunk of the movie just him suffering through that. He meets up with Giovanni Ribisi here, who plays the little off the spectrum kid who ends up so he's obviously trying to escape, and they're out in the field one day, and he makes a break for it, and Giovanni tries to call him in, and of course he murders him for doing that. It's your hero, guys.
Yeah, it's a weird society they're presenting. This general and his army rule over what looks like an abandoned copper mine, perhaps.
Yeah,
and I don't know exactly what they're all doing. There's an interesting like side plot they kind of present to you with the all these soldiers not wanting to watch Universal Soldier projected on this big movie screen. And they're like, no, we don't want to see that. They wanted to see the Sound of Music.
Yeah, it's
like
too violent. They wanted to
two
see
nights in a row. That's interesting. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, what would make these hardcore
flush that out. Yeah.
soldiers that are almost like trained like Marines not want to watch Universal Soldier? It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, what's going on here? And what the heck are they even doing at this mine?
Yeah.
What is this? And
It reeked of the Cyclos in a way, in Battlefield.
yeah,
Earth.
it is. And then
Yeah.
you have the two-dimensional villain is a general who,
Yeah.
kind of like Adolf Hitler. He likes to paint, It's
Yeah.
like, but he's really intelligent. He knows Shakespeare also, and there's something presented to you, but
I think if Waterworld and Battlefield Earth had a baby, it would be the Postman.
yeah. Oh my God, I was thinking the same thing.
Structurally, of course, yeah. So
Yeah.
so Kevin escapes from the Klan, and he ends up like finding refuge in a postal truck, and he sees that there's a skeleton in there who has a perfectly preserved
like it came just out of a science class.
post office suit. So he puts that on for warmth, and he starts thumbing through some letters that didn't degrade over 16 years either, and the humidity and all that kind of thing. Human skin can evaporate, Mike, but the postman's jacket perfectly preserved.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great ad for the Postal Service.
So he realized that he has to get back to his routine now because he doesn't have his meal anymore. So he goes back to the next village to essentially start begging. But he goes under the ruse of a postman, saying that he's delivering mail. It's really just a ruse to get free food initially. But they almost immediately, the villagers in this town, led by Mr. Kruger, who's the mayor, they take him at his word, and he says, the United States is trying to form back, and government's just starting, and the first act was to start delivering mail. And I guess because they kind of call his bluff and buy it, and I guess if they're so looking for any kind of hope, so they fall for it. So he's already
they call him he's a savior. They even call him a godsend.
Yeah, but he's a big fraud, big fat liar. That's your hero, guys.
I mean, if you're going to invoke Ringo Starr's alias,
that's my point. Okay,
16
years, right? So Costner wasn't the oldest guy in this village, right?
Right.
So he says that he tells everybody that the president's name is Richard Starkey, which of course is the least complex trivia question in world history. Everybody knows that Richard Starkey is Ringo Starr, including, I would think, anybody over 30 years old in this clan.
His band. How about the members of his band who all look like they were a little bit older than Costner?
Yeah,
we should know this.
So I guess nobody heard
the Love and Spoonful ripoff guys.
Yeah.
Why is Pineview presented as like a hippie commune?
I don't know. So
and the band, doesn't the band remind you of one of those kind of musical interludes? They have like a drug prescription commercial where they have like this band. It's like they're just way too happy while they're playing their little acoustical instruments.
Yeah. It sounds like the band you hear in like erectile dysfunction.
Yes, exactly.
And they're all having just a great time.
I couldn't get it up this morning, but now I can play my Gibson.
How about that, Kevin? So he's also so inspirational. He starts to inspire the youth of the town, and then one of those youths is Ford Lincoln Mercury. I forget his real name, Mike. He said it was
Johnny, because that's what Kruger keeps calling him. I think it's John.
But of course, there's a Ford Mercury Lincoln sign auto dealer in the town. So he co-opted that name, and he becomes a hanger-on. And Kevin, in an attempt just to get rid of the kid, deputizes him as a postman. And he thinks, okay, this will shut him up. But what it actually does is trigger him and all the other younger members of this town to take the lead on this whole postman bringing America back to life thing, and kind of spirals out of control. But the mayor just really wants the guy out because he knows he's a big fraud. He wants to get out.
Big fat fraud.
Yeah. So that night, as they're having dinner and listening to this wonderful band, Olivia Williams approaches him with her husband, cuckold husband, on the other side of the dance floor. And this is where I started to lose any kind of stamina for this movie. Like, she comes in and says, asks him a bunch of questions, essentially like a doctor's visit type thing, to establish if she can use his seed or not, Mike. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, so this is the second movie in a row for Kevin Costner where local villagers want him for his seed.
Yeah, it's
Wouldn't he notice that? And what do you say? Like, okay, we already did that in the last movie, and
did
everybody
that
thought
in
it was
Waterworld.
creepy.
Yep, yep. That was
But
weird.
so he says, I'll have to think about it, obviously. But before he gets the chance to, the town gets raided by the 8-ball jacket guys, of course. They end up killing Olivia Williams' husband. And then she and the postman kind of take off. She takes the gun and starts shooting before he
Yeah,
does.
well,
He starts
yeah.
defending the town. So
He leaves the town, yeah,
yeah,
and it's the other town where they end up getting this
right,
weird shootout scene, and it's like
yeah.
they manage to escape through just pure luck or stupidity from Bethlehem soldiers.
It's
They don't even
certainly nothing
they're
that to do with Kevin Costner's resourcefulness. That's for sure.
no.
He actually ends up getting shot in the attempt, and they find refuge in a winter cabin. He and Olivia Williams, or Abby in this case, right? So Abby and the postman spend a very extended section of the movie.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it goes from it had to go from like
it was
I don't know
about 4 or 5 months.
October to
Yeah,
March or
and it felt like you're watching most of it in real time. It's, but she gets angry about him being a whiner, which he is. He doesn't want to get out and get healed. And ultimately, spring comes, and after she's been waiting on him hand and foot, and he gets the ambition to actually shave and be a man for 5 minutes, and there you go. So as they go back to the town, they realize that the entire group has organized this postman army, and they developed postal routes, and they're delivering mail to local towns, and mostly youth driven. And there's hundreds of kids that are young adults that have now taken the mantle. So the Postman's Lie has really developed into this movement, which is I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, but they all attribute their progress to the Messiah here, Kevin. uh, and of course, the main 8-ball jacket guy, General Bethlehem. He finds this as an intrusion. He doesn't want anything to do with the old world. He saw the Battle of Georgetown, Mike, where
that's right.
whatever that
He
means.
saw Washington burn.
That's where USA was dissolved, and they're totalitarian, extremely racist. They're a lot of pure bloodlines and all that kind of garbage. They're trying to rebuild the world in their own image, and they find this as an affront to their new value system. So it sets up this big showdown, and there's this big fight, of course, and we find out that the baby that Olivia is carrying is actually Kevin Costner's from their little tryst in the
Yeah, she would have to be
Yeah.
about 6 or 7 months pregnant. So
Yeah.
she really doesn't show much when spring
So
comes. But hey,
she doesn't want him to leave, but he feels that he has to because he's finally stepping up and being a hero for 5 seconds. For some reason, they go to Tom Petty's town.
Bridge City.
Yeah, where this is where I remember the first time I watched this. It's like I was really exhausted by now because this is about 2 hours and 20 minutes in, and like I remember just like
yeah.
you get in that phase where you're in a movie you don't like anymore, and you're like you start hate watching it, and you're like, okay, I've gone this far, I at least got to finish.
How's this going to end?
Yeah, how's it going to end? And then I remember audibly saying, what the F is Tom Petty doing in here now? What happened?
What?
What did I miss? And that's what kind of where I my first watch. It's like, okay, all this now I have to put it, and I have to figure out why Tom Petty's here as Tom Petty. But it ends up there's this big fight at the end. It's very, very, very anticlimactic.
It's terrible.
It's not even a,
so bad.
yeah. You think
They
it's going
roll
to be
around on the ground. I thought they
you
were
think it's going to be like Shaka Zulu, but it's just that the two guys, Patton and Costner, go out in the middle of the field, and they start doing some very, very odd wrestling. Like they look like crocodiles in that death roll. They're just running around doing nothing. And the way he shot it was all these dissolves that like made no sense.
Yes.
And then like they do a quick shot to the Rockford Files guy. So they telegraph that he's going to shoot, Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And it's the same kind of thing that they do in every, the hero's too good to do something evil. It's like they have a big fight. He wins. He shows mercy, and then the bad guy comes back at him behind his back. So it's self-defense, and then so
it's always a bad. And it's usually somebody usually a bad guy that's been wrong in the past by the evil villain. So he's the one who does it. Yeah.
Will Patton gets shot by Rockford Files, and then we do a quick dissolve to 2043, which is like I guess 30 years later.
Yeah, because it's 2013. All this
2013.
takes
Yeah.
place in
And
the
then
2014. Yeah.
so and the narrator at the beginning is kind of circle back and bookend. It's Mary Stuart Masterson in an uncredited role where she plays the daughter.
Lucky her.
Yeah, yeah. She probably said, "Take my name off this now." And they unveil a statue, and it's Kevin Costner, handing reaching down for a letter that the little boy is holding. And I'll tell you what, Mike, when that dumb guy, they telegraph, there's this dumb guy in the crowd that's listening to the speech,
Yeah.
and he's looking at the little kid, and I knew right away that that's the little boy that grew up.
All grown up.
But what does he say, Mike? What do they have? The camera pans to him, and what does he say? He starts to laugh. He says, "That was me."
That wasn't me.
It's like, are you kidding me? Oh my God. And then the self-serving movie finally comes to an end where, Kevin Costner sings his own exit music and we fade out. Amy Grant, he sang that with her, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I say, it's one of those songs that it just is like, okay, this is the song you're going to fit in there with, you didn't have to be. I see that statue they showed at the end. I'm thinking, that's got to still exist somewhere. Like, like the Rocky statue in Philadelphia kind of thing. It's like, there's got to be some town had to say, I want that prop. Maybe some town in Oregon or something that has it.
Mike, I think you're overthinking it. It isn't Kevin Costner's backyard.
Probably.
All right, so that's it. And you guys probably thought we skipped over a lot. We really didn't. That's 2 hours and 50 minutes kind of condensed, and we didn't really leave out anything of significance. So you make your own call. So, all right, let's talk about awards and accolades, Mike. There were none. All right, we'll move on. Yeah, so it had a dismal $5 million opening because it opened up against
Christmas.
It opened up against a lot of good movies.
That's true.
So it didn't do very well. It only ended up doing about $17 million domestically, had no international box office whatsoever. Where it did succeed, Mike, of course, was the Razzies. It won 5. It won all the ones it was nominated for, including picture, actor, director, screenplay, and song.
Thank the Lord. I'm so glad you said that, actually.
The only one it didn't win, that was a millennial year, and the Razzies had a special category for worst movie of the decade. But it lost to Showgirls, Mike. So
that figures.
But it currently sits at 8% on the tomato meter, if anybody uses that as a metric. I don't, but a lot of people like to use that. But it portrays an interesting phenomenon, Mike, and it's one of the things that's kind of the main focus of this podcast. If you look at like things like IMDb or anything like that, this movie has been trending up for the last 15 years.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it's we remember how dogged the reviews were and all that thing, but it's currently sitting at about 6.1 out of 10 on the IMDb movie database, and that number's been kind of scaling up exponentially every year. And it's an interesting phenomenon we see with these movies that we kind of grew up with and were filled with rage and spite. But time can be kind to these movies, especially when they're compared against current standards. I don't know, but I just this movie does not get as much vitriol as it did 20 years ago. People actually, I see reviews where people actually like it.
No,
but there's no accounting for taste in some cases. But
I think we've said this before in the podcast. Is in a nicer way, you could probably say, if it's a movie you like, hey, you like it. There's nothing you can say really to change that. Yeah.
So there you go. We always treat these movies with the reverence they deserve, good or bad, and we're making an exception this week. But there you go. All right, so let's talk about our own personal take on it, Mike. So let's do our Grumpy Award. So talk about the first time you saw this, your opinions, and then your perspective change on your most recent watch.
I felt like I was, the phrase, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on me.
You're going there already. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't learn from after watching Waterworld. I should have. I knew this was going to be a stinkeroo, but it's one of those. It was, what else do you do during like the holiday times? Is you watch movies, especially back then when you don't have kids. And hey, why not watch this? Oh my gosh! Wow, this was a tough one. Why can't he wear his hat straight? Why is it always askew or at an angle? Did that bother you at all? You always that damn coastal hat.
He actually had a scene where he talked about wearing his hat backwards. It had no relevance to the plot. Or
No,
anything
no, no,
like
no,
that?
no. It was just trying to be like, it was like Steve Buscemi wearing having the skateboard. Hey, hello, fellow kids. And I mean, he was channeling like Marlon Brando from Wild Ones, where he always has his hat on kind of side. This is what I'm thinking.
Oh, I didn't think about that, but now that I hear it, you're right.
You watch, you see some stills from that movie. You see him wearing this stupid postal hat, and you'll see what
now
I
I
mean.
can't look at Brando in that movie ever again.
There you go.
Thanks for that.
I mean, like I said, I've already said this earlier. I think what I can't get past, and watching it again, like I said, there was no nostalgia glasses when I was watching this. It was as bad as I remember, if not worse. It's one of those kind of affirmation things for me.
Yeah.
I know when we look at these movies, me especially, I am really critical on like little nitpicky things, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a nitpick when you see a movie that has a good premise.
Yeah.
Even though it's aping Waterworld in a way, but it's
Yeah.
still a good premise to have like an apocalyptic kind of setting. And
The basis of this story to me is fantastic, and that's why I think
Yeah.
if I read this book and didn't have this adaptation, I would probably be very pleased because
Yeah.
it's a great premise.
It makes me want to read the book almost
Yeah.
because, like I say, you have this guy who's a rogue general who I don't even know what territory he rules. I don't know what I don't know this.
Idaho.
I don't know this Merle. I mean,
I don't.
It's
You don't
really.
know how he makes his money.
I don't. I mean, there's a lot that's just kind of like I said, just kind of left for you to just not worry about. Just know that he's bad. He
Yeah.
did this and he shot that guy and he took Costner's lady and tried to make the moves on her. It's just that kind of stuff. But it's just there's so many scenes in this movie I could just pick from the love making scene where Costner and Williams.
Oh my God.
He has to show that not only do they have sex once, but she wakes him up and they do it again. Like he's that kind of guy. He can last all night, baby. And I can't believe you didn't mention the scene that's near the end where Tom Petty sets him up on the little gantry and like rides him down on their little bungee cord cable ride, and he's on okay, I mean, I know it's 1997, but the visual effects were just appalling and laughable when you see that. And
Yeah.
he's literally just riding this cart, and he has a voiceover. It's like blah blah blah. It's like he's like citing Shakespeare, and there's this montage of his army coming together, and it's. I don't know. I don't know what to say anymore.
Okay.
It was just 3 hours, and we've already seen this before. We saw Waterworld.
Yeah.
That was enough. We saw the wandering drifter guy show up. Everybody loves him. He becomes the hero and the savior. And
Yeah. Okay.
And
well,
I do have a nitpick. I don't know how people don't see this in editing, but like early in the movie, he says Richard Starkey's from Maine, and then later he says he's from Minneapolis. I don't know if this is a error by the writers or if this was supposedly on purpose. Again, it's why I should read the book. I need to know why some people were acting this way, and the movie didn't show it. And like it goes to the editing and directing.
yeah.
The pacing is terrible. You just see random the slow-mo scene where he gets the little boy's letter, and it's just the music with it, the soundtrack.
The score was awful.
It's so trite and hokey and just it's appalling. I can't believe this movie was made. I really can't. It's incredible.
Right.
And I know you say it Dances with Wolves carried Costner a long way.
You got a lot of mileage out of that. Yeah.
He really did.
Creatively speaking.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, you did a good job, Mike. I'm proud of you. You faced your fear and you've come up better for it. All right, so my take on this is not too far apart. I did not see this in the theater. I did end up watching, I think, probably on a VHS or DVD rental. And I mentioned I just got fatigued by it. What I'm finding doing this podcast and going back, especially for movies I didn't care for, I still don't like them. And I realize if I don't like them, then if I come around, it's usually something that came to me. If I still don't like them, it's usually for a different reason. And I think that's what I've understood, knowing I probably disliked this movie because it was boring. But now I still dislike this movie, but I dislike it for another reason. I think I dislike it because it's just loaded with pretentiousness, and it's just stuff that we've watched a lot of movies in our life, Mike, and you build this reference point against what's an acceptable standard, and you see what tropes are or how they're developed, and you get to know when movies take liberties with things and when they cheat and when they go the easy route. And having that breadth of knowledge about movies since then, I can tie it all back to this now and find new ways to hate movies I used to hate before. So, I still don't like this movie very much, and it's because now I'm savvy enough and I'm mature enough to know that the reason I didn't like it is because it was so incredibly pretentious, and I didn't pick up on that when I was 27 years old, but 55 years old or 53 years old, whatever I am now. So I'll check my wallet later. But yeah, that's usually the quickest trigger for me to dislike something, when I see this aura of pretentiousness that's there. And
I mean, we talked about Flash Gordon, and this, like, I've the special effects are hokey as it can be, but the movie itself is charming in a way, and they try hard, and it you can get around the fact, okay, this movie's old, that's okay, this is still a good story. You watch The Postman, and I think the word you said, pretentious, you said it twice. It goes so well. This pretentiousness does not age.
Yes.
It's just the same pretentiousness you saw in 1997.
You're right. That's perfect. Yeah.
Should not be accepted in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. You nailed it. So, okay. So there you go. So we're over it now, Mike. So
done and dusted.
Yeah. So I mentioned we've watched a lot of movies in our career, and enough to where we felt competent enough to maybe do a podcast about them. The collateral damage of watching that many movies, Mike, is most of them aren't very good. So me and Mike started thinking about our history in the cinema and what we've been watching over the years, and every once in a while we start thinking about, just think of all the bad movies that we've watched over the years, and it was kind of the trigger for this podcast. But we thought we'd try a new installment, Mike. So we're going to play a game. Games are fun. We thought, using that accumulated knowledge, we created a new game called Loser Talk.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Where me and Mike will review what losers we are for watching some really horrible movies all the way through. So we've taken a list, an internet list of the 50 worst movies of the 90s, and me and Mike are going to challenge ourselves here. So Loser Buys Breakfast, Mike.
So is this like The Biggest Loser from NBC?
Yes, it's right. To win this game, you have to be the biggest loser, and we will accumulate that score for every. We'll go through 25 of them, Mike. For every movie we've seen, we get a point. In its entirety, you get a point. But if you see this horrible movie in its entirety while in a theater, you get a bonus point. So 2 points for if you saw this movie in the theater.
Wow.
And we know each other well enough. I think we can operate within the confines of the honor system, don't you, Mike? So
yeah, I think so.
All right. So let's just start the carnage here. So this is from stacker.com. They have a movie list called the top 50 worst movies of the 90s, and we're going to kind of go in reverse order. So
and if it's and if it's till about 1997, I think I'll do okay.
This is right in our wheelhouse here, Mike. So
okay.
All right. So we're going to start at the back half of the list and kind of probably the part 2 in a later episode. So number 50 is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Mike.
Oh, I did not see that.
I'm glad to say I missed that one. So there we go. Good. We're off to a good start. All right.
Dodge a bullet.
So much for that, Mike. The number 49 movie here is Congo from 1995.
I'm afraid we've seen that a couple of times.
That includes in the theater for both of us, right?
Yeah.
Where you were Mall of America.
That's right. Yeah, I got to see Joe Don Baker and his golf club up there.
All right. So that's all right. It's a dead heat so far, Mike. The next one is from 1997 as well. It's the movie Spawn.
Yeah, I saw it all. But I didn't see it at a theater.
Yeah, same here. I watched that on HBO. Watched the whole thing.
Wasn't bad.
Not too bad. Number 47 is from 1998, the post-Titanic killer, Lost in Space.
Saw parts of it, but I did not want to.
No, you haven't seen it, right?
It was a personal. I think this was like Spawn from Wild Wild West, but I had this thing where I did not want to see these movies that were from Spawn from 60s TV shows.
That's fair. So I didn't bother with this one. So 0 on both there. Number 46 here is An American Werewolf in Paris.
No, I did not see that.
No, I like the original too much. I didn't want to see this. It looked
Think that
CGI looked terrible on that one.
this is an interesting. Congo should be like much higher than Spawn.
Well,
Or
I think they're just I don't know if they're in ranking order or they're just 50 bad movies.
okay,
All
okay.
right, I'm just going to pretend. So, number 45 here is the movie Toys by Barry Levinson.
Oh my gosh, no, that looked bad from the start.
Yeah,
There's no way.
I had no appeal to see that one. So
Wow,
okay, so we're doing good here.
we have some
All right,
taste here. I
all
like
right,
it.
we're better than I thought so far. All right, number 44 is from 1991, Child's Play 3.
I saw 1 and 2.
Okay,
I did not. I checked out.
I don't think I've seen any of the Chucky movies in their entirety.
Wow.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't see 3 for sure.
All right, so number 43 is I think is personally myself is a pretty funny movie, but Nothing But Trouble. Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase.
Yes, I saw it.
I have seen that not in the theater, but
Yeah, same here.
Okay, I went to college and this was on HBO, so
It was so
watched.
weird. I almost had to see it just to
was-
see the disguises and the makeup and
I still laugh at that, especially with that dinner scene where they're eating the hot dogs on the train set that goes around the table.
that's one that needs to have a revisit.
They need to look at that one again. Yeah. All right. The next one on the list is The Neverending Story 2, the next chapter.
No, did not
No.
see that one.
Directed by George Miller, Mike, of
Oh my
Furiosa
God,
fame. Yeah.
that's so wild. Wow.
I didn't see the first one either. So yeah. All right. The next one is the movie Virus from 1999.
I feel like I might have seen it. Who's in it?
Jamie Lee Curtis. I think.
Yeah, I saw it. I did see this at the theater.
So I did
Yeah,
not
'cause
see. Oh,
it-
okay.
That's how memorable it is. But yeah, I think it was a movie that Lydia wanted to see. at
Yeah,
the
I
time.
did. I did not see that one. All right, the next one on the list is Sliver.
Yeah,
1993.
Sharon Stone and the other Baldwin.
Billy, right?
Yeah, I saw
not-
that.
You saw it in the theater?
Yeah,
All right, I saw that one on a video rental just to watch Sharon Stone. I'll be
yeah.
honest.
It was a Basic Instinct like movie.
Yeah. The next one on the list is The Phantom from 1996. Speaking of Baldwin's,
No, I did not see that one.
I did not see either that one in the theater or otherwise. So
Or on a train.
number 38, Showgirls, Mike.
Yeah, I saw it at it was one of the original like kind of draft house places where you could eat a meal and watch the
Okay.
movie.
No,
Yeah.
that was a good time. All right.
That was a great time.
I saw that, but not in the theater.
I have to blame my friend George for dragging me to
Okay.
it. But, you know.
I couldn't ask anybody I knew to go see that, and I certainly wouldn't take any female to go see that.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
should be in anyone's top 10 worst movies in the 90s. That's
good.
there.
Yeah. Number 37 here is The Haunting, 1999, by Jan de Bont, our Twister fame, Mike. This is Liam Neeson and Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson.
And they're in a big mansion.
Yeah.
The only part was good was when Owen Wilson's head gets chopped off. That's my favorite part.
Wow.
Well, the big
I didn't see it at the theater, but I did
no,
see it.
I saw it on a VHS rental.
Yep.
The next one on the list is The Flintstones, another one of your favorites, Mike.
Again, I respect the Flintstones too much to actually watch that movie. So
All
I
right.
haven't
Well,
seen it.
I this is where I have to confess. I saw this in the theater.
Good one.
I was curious about the dinosaur CGI. I mean, that's all I can say.
Wow.
And I regretted it to this day. All right, we're getting to some good ones now here, Mike. The next one on the list is from 1993 as well. Beethoven's Second.
Yes, and as previously stated on another podcast, this was a one.
You watched
yes.
that, but not a theater, right?
Yeah, at the theater.
At the
I was
theater.
Yes, I was dragged to
wow.
that one.
Mike,
Kicking and screaming.
You're crushing it. The next one on the list is from 1998, Blues Brothers 2000.
No, I will happily
No.
say I did not see that.
I categorically refused. Number 33, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
I saw it on a rental.
I saw this. I guess on a technicality, I saw this in the theater because I worked I was an usher,
Okay.
and this is when they actually made ushers sit in the theater and tell people to be quiet. I'd tell people to be quiet and to slide over so people could be accommodated. So that went over well. Oh boy, Mike, this is like your Murderer's Row. The next one up here is from 1999, Wild Wild West.
I didn't see it at the theater. I saw
Okay.
about 3/4 of it on HBO until I turned it off.
Okay, I I saw the
So
whole
I don't
thing.
know if I should count that. Or
That's
not.
a 0. You got to see the whole thing.
Okay.
That's part of the charm is that you had enough courage to
I
walk
did.
out.
I didn't. Yeah,
I,
that's the one
I
that killed me.
I watched the whole thing on a DVD rental, but did not see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Next one is from 1993, Leprechaun.
Ooh.
Did you see your pot of gold, Mike?
I did not see that one. I'd seen parts of it, but I've never seen the whole movie.
I did not. Funny story, when I worked at Blockbuster Video, this had come out, and we only got 3 copies of that one for some reason. And let me tell you, the demand for Leprechaun was off the charts.
Oh my gosh, that's
I would say, like, seven out of every 10 phone calls we get was, "Do you have Leprechaun stock?
Where's the gold?"
Where's the gold?" And I always said no, even if we did have it in. So, but I have not seen that one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. Did not see that.
Jeez. Oh my gosh, I
Isn't
didn't know there was.
Is that the one with Vanilla Ice in it, or is that the second one?
Oh, that is a world I've stayed out of.
Yeah, that's
luckily.
good. That's fair. All right, the number 29 on the list is the movie Double Team with Dennis Rodman and
Oh wow,
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah,
I did not see that one.
me neither.
I was a big Bulls fan, but still couldn't bring me to see Dennis. Wasn't a fan of Rodman for his acting. I'm just more of a rebounder for me. The next number here is number 28, Anaconda from 1997.
Yes, I've seen it.
I have seen this one in the theater.
Oh, so I didn't see it in the theater. I originally saw it on tape, and then we saw the Riff
technically-
Tracks version of
Yeah,
it too.
technically
Which,
you did, but that's not the same movie, I guess. So,
yeah,
all right, Halloween: The Curse of Michael Myers from 1995.
no,
I haven't seen any Halloween movie after the first one. So,
I did. Yeah, I saw the first 3, and that was done. Yeah.
all right, so we're wrapping it up here, Mike. So number 26 is the movie Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare from 1991.
Yeah.
You saw
I
that
did
one
see that one in the theater. As a
in the
matter of
theater?
fact.
I did not see that one.
And believe it or not, he really didn't die at the end of it.
You're kidding me.
I know, right? Some of those ambiguous endings. It was a big question mark. It was kind of like Ming. Is he really dead?
Well, I suspected with the 9 sequels to it. But
All
all right, so our last one here, Mike, is from 1994. It's the movie Junior with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Emma Thompson, directed by Ivan Reitman.
That's where he gives birth, right? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
one.
I did not. That one just seemed too disturbing to watch. So. All right, so that's going to wrap it up. All right, so Mike, you got 3, 4.
Yeah, who's the leader after 9
3, 4, 6, 8.
in the clubhouse?
10, 11 at the turn, 13, 14. You have 16 points, Mike. 3. I have 14.
Oh,
so
I'm
Mike,
a big,
you quote unquote win this round.
Wow.
All right, so
I got to do better.
You get breakfast. That's on me, and then we'll pick this up as we go, guys. But there you go. That's a lot of bad movies, guys, and we've seen a good chunk of them, so we know what we're talking about. Let's just say we have a reference point, Mike.
We have something there.
Yeah. All right, so that's going to kind of wrap it up for tonight. We just want to remind everybody that we're on all the social media platforms. If you ever want to check out our Instagram page, that's Grumpy Nostalgia. If you want to send us an email, you can email us at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. We have a YouTube channel. If you're ever bored at work, you can log on to YouTube and look under Grumpy Nostalgia. You'll see audio versions of most of our podcasts. We have a couple of videos up there still, but there you go. Call to action for all of our listeners. If it's your first time, please consider subscribing or following the show. And please tell your friends about us and rate and review. That really helps the algorithm, especially on Apple. It really draws a lot of traffic our way. So if you'd be kind enough to do that, we would really appreciate it. I want to point out that we have hit a bit of a milestone here, Mike. This is our 75th episode, but also on the old tracking service, goodpods.com. We are currently at the top, number 1 on the cinema related podcasts, Mike. So we want to thank all of our listeners for putting us on that niche category, albeit, but we are currently sitting at the top of the charts, Mike. Just like the Beatles, just like Kevin Costner and Amy Ryan.
Climb the charts, just like whatever the hell that band was.
Yeah, so, all right, so we're kind of exhausted. That's going to kind of have to wrap it up for this show. So, Mike, anything else you want to say before we get out of here today?
I was going to say, even after 16 years, Zippo lighters will still light.
This is true. Great men are made by other great men, Mike. Patton Head Rommel, Grant Headley. I got stuck with you.
Beautiful.
All right, so that'll do it, guys. So thanks for listening. So for Mike James, this is Justin, and we will see you again next time.
I'm sorry I said the Postman was a flop.